Hi guys, welcome to my channel or welcome back. Feel free to subscribe if you're interested in any of this stuff right here. And returning subscribers and viewers, hi, how are you? As always, what are you watching? What are you watching? What are you listening to? What kind of media are you consuming? Inquiring minds want to know. I've been watching American Gods, and then also Repo the Genetic Opera. Um, as a kid, I my little friend circle was super obsessed with it, and I never got to see it or enjoy it. Like, I'm sure had I done so, it would have changed something in me, but I was too busy like with the like cannibalistic stuff. So anyways, another thing that my friend circle was like super obsessed with was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And like some of my friends ended up like sneaking out to a show in Houston or something because they had a car and they were like, "Do you want to go?" And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know if I would really, if I can, because there's no way my mom is ever gonna let that fly. And I can't lie to her. She's like, I just couldn't. I'm bad at lying. I'll lie and I'll be like this, you know. So I was like, it is really bad at lying, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, that was an interesting experience to hear about. Um, a huge storm just came through, and I was trying to record, but I kept like looking at the storm because it was so pretty, and there was lightning striking like right in front of me, and I was like, "Oh, that's fun. That's cool." And then my friend, my best friend, she's also an astrologer, but I have a special moon placement. No, but I do have I have a Leo moon. So when you understand astrology, it doesn't alleviate the fact that it needs expression, right? So I have a Leo moon. That's why I'm here doing the things I'm doing. It's pathetic. No, I'm kidding. But she tagged me or in something or like sent it to me via a message. This is so real. This is so real. Bitch. Ah! Eh. um. What? I feel seen and I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I am so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. So it's so funny whenever you get called out by astrology and then you're like, oh, it's so real because I have like these very strange feelings when I get like very 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 upset with myself, right? Because my whole everything's not aligning up to what I want my reality to be because of me. Because it's my fault. And so I'm like, I joke about like being so infuriated and frustrated that I want to like rip my skin off, throw it on somebody, and then like beat the ever loving shit out of them. And so it's funny, that feeling of wanting to combust is so real. It's such a strange sensation, but I felt like I just wanted to explode into flames, like Hades from Hercules, like animated one, yeah. Whenever he just blows up, like sometimes I feel like that, but mostly about myself or about things that are very difficult to communicate to other people. Like whenever people misunderstand me, it gets so frustrating because I know that I can weave words together to where they are appealing for your ears to ingest and for your brain to like understand. I know I can do it, and I know I could get down to whatever level I need to in order to communicate. I know I can communicate. And so whenever the communication is just shit, and there's like maybe you ate too many paint chips or something, like as a kid or something, or maybe I don't know, you were huffing too much Lysol or whatever it was. I don't know. I don't judge. But there's like a certain amount of lead that goes into the brain that stays there for at least 40 years time. And it gets extremely infuriating when you can't communicate with certain people. Have you guys ever seen Tucker and Dale versus Evil? It's so good. It is so good. Another thing I really like is Resident Alien. So obsessed with Resident Alien. Number one, so I'm mixed and I have a very Venus-esque body type, very feminine, okay? And for many, many years, it's always frustrated me because people will sexualize you if you have curves. They associate it with sexuality. But I just have a very Venus body shape, okay? And I've had it since I was born. I've always been curvy. But it's something that always happens. People have made fun of and sexualized me for something I can't truly control, which is like genetics, correct? So it just but I am a daughter of Venus, and so that's something that happens whenever you have prominent Venus energy. It doesn't matter. Resident Alien. I like it because, first of all, I'm mixed. My grandmother was an indigenous woman from Mexico. My father is Mexican, and I have a indigenous body type. I don't look like this. I'm not thin. I don't look like Plank. I have an indigenous woman's body type. So whenever I see Asta, when I see the actress that plays her, I feel like she looks like me. And so people would talk about how representation matters. And for years it was like, bullshit, what the fuck ever, fucking, you stop fucking with me, nothing matters, everything matters. No, I'm kidding. No, but like, truly, because I didn't understand, because truly, I was never represented. I was never fucking represented, so I could not understand that communication was not there. Because in media, there was never, ever an actress who had any body shape like mine. And in fact, until recently, until they've just, Hollywood has been pumping out a lot more like indigenous stuff. And like another really, really, really good show on, I believe, Shudder and perhaps AMC, I don't know, it's Trickster. Trickster's a very, very good show that also features an indigenous cast. But unfortunately, season 2, I think, was stopped because the director or producer claimed to be indigenous, but she really wasn't. It was just like her ancestry was like this much indigenous, and so there was like a whole hullabaloo about that, so they ended up firing everybody, and like the whole thing went sunk because the director had made false claims about her indigenous ancestry. And so unfortunately everybody lost their jobs. Isn't that so funny how things like that work in the industry? Industrious it is. So anyways, that being said, I never felt represented up until recently, whenever more indigenous women were becoming popular in culture. And like I said, like I've explained, I have a very indigenous woman figure. I truly do. So I've always felt like I don't look like Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't look like Drew Barrymore. I don't look like any of those girls. I don't look like Winona Ryder. I don't look like Angelina Jolie. I don't look like any of those. Start naming the cast of Girl Interrupted. I don't look like Brittany Murphy. I don't look like any of these girls. And so I had an extreme amount of like, God damn, I must be a freak, like in the background, other than just like all of these mixed internal, right? So I didn't understand when people say representation matters, because truly I wasn't fucking represented until recently. So anyways, whenever I saw the actress playing, her name's like Asta. It's, first of all, Resident Alien is such a good show. Another part of me is I love aliens, UFO. I love all the lore. I go to Crash Fest in Roswell, New Mexico. I've studied case files and everything. I've had like my own experiences and all this horseshit, right? So there's like another aspect of me that is hyper obsessed with aliens, UFOs, things of that nature, right? But yeah, anyways, that doesn't matter. What does matter is that Resident Alien's really awesome, and I love the cast, and I think it's cool. And of course, they could be like total fucking losers, like always. Like any actor is just portraying a character that's totally fictional, and so like what they do behind closed doors is completely different. I'm not saying that you have to like hyperfixate on anybody because they are a character or something like that. What I am saying is that it truly does feel good to on a big screen see a woman with your body type or just a human very similar shape as you uh, on the big screen. I don't know why. Personally, I don't know why, but also now, personally and intimately, I understand that representation does matter and that there needs to be more representation in Hollywood and in the arts because it can't always just be skinny, itty bitty like fainting anemic girls. It can't be that, even though they're beautiful. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but sometimes it's nice seeing those like ancient figurines of like women with like a lot of curves. And I think that because like in American Gods there is like on this show there is like a bunch of different representation of different women and their body types and stuff like that, and especially with like I believe I can never pronounce her name in the book when I read it, so I like make up words for characters I don't understand how to pronounce their name. I guess I could have looked it up, but it didn't occur to me at the time, so I was just like, I'm just gonna sound it out in my head, and whatever comes out will be your name. And now I have renamed you as this, but I believe the character, her name is like Belliquis. Anyways, she is beautiful and divine and like very I guess not like the yeah, you know, slender. She has curves and she's got like a normal, not normal, there is no such thing as normal, but as like a regular woman's body. And there's even, you know, parts where she's naked or whatever. And I was just like, it's so good to see someone who is just that beautiful and like real. You know what I mean? There really is a need for representation, and like I'm so sad that for so many years I couldn't understand what people were saying because I guess the basic archetype for like people who get like jobs in Hollywood was like skinny white woman. And so anyways, it's yeah. I just like doing that because I like not doing that. You don't understand what I'm saying because I said it in my head, but I like seeing people like me too out there doing things. And Resident Alien is so funny. It's so funny. It's so good and funny, and the humor is fantastic. And I like it a lot. I'm probably gonna go get into the comics too because whenever I start hyperfixating on something, and then I get really excited. I wasn't stimming. Yeah, I'm super excited, super happy. It's super fun. But then I found out that Gerard Way was like, I knew that he did comics with the Umbrella Academy and things like that. But I found out that he was going to do Batman. He was going to do his like little version of Batman with Vertigo back in the day. And I thought that was extremely interesting. Number one, because I saw like this whole explanation on it on like YouTube. Like, I don't know, I just get into random, I fall into random things on YouTube, things that I'm interested in and whatnot. And it's always just funny because it's like, I guess the way I could explain it is that I go down this rabbit hole and it's like a slide, but there's doors. And sometimes the doors are open, sometimes they're closed. And whatever door I fall into at that time is like where I allow my hyperfixation to flourish or whatever. So like anyways, it was really cool. Gerard Way, his Batman would have been so fucking cool and amazing and badass, and it's something that I would really like to see come to light. But apparently, allegedly, I don't know this for sure because I didn't actually go do the research, I just overheard via someone else telephone game that they shut down the Vertigo, which also had like Hellblazer. And I love John Constantine. In fact, I was going to name my first son Constantine. I love John Constantine so much. He's amazing. Not because like I love him, like I find him attractive, but I love him because I'm like, he's so cool. He's such a little shithead, but he's so real and like, I love Constantine. And so And I think, hey, no, not because I find him attractive, but like I get excited about characters that are fun like that. Like I love John Constantine, and I like Matt Ryan. I don't know why they don't let Matt Ryan play him in a movie. Because I think that he would just be really good. I think that Matt Ryan, he was a fantastic Constantine, and he voices everything for DC anyway. So why not just allow him to be? Because he really is John Constantine. He's and I love whenever the character is the character is the character. I love that transition and translation where it just really you can like envision that and see it and then it is and it's cool. Like from inside of you you see like images. Like we look at pages and we hallucinate via when we see words. It's so funny that you could see words on a page and then it like blooms in your head as an image, right? If you don't have that thing where it's like aphantasia or something like that where you can't see things. Anyways. Fuck, I went on a whole rant thing. What the hell? Is that the allergy medication? What's going on with me today? Okay, I got excited because Asta? La Vista? Stop. Every time I hear her name, she's like, Asta. And I'm like, La Vista. Asta, La Vista. But it's Ashta or Asta. But I always want to say Hasta la vista. Like, hasta la vista. Anyway, so I love Resident Alien, and I do love comics. I loved reading the Hellblazer comics with Constantine. I love that character. Like I said, I was going to name my first son Constantine, but I didn't. I don't know. Anyways, like I said, representation matters. But Gerard Way's Batman. Wowza! That would have been really fun. That would have been a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay. What the fuck? Some of my relatives are like, they religiously go to Comic Cons. I've never been to one. I know this probably sounds strange. I've never been to a Comic Con, but I've been outside of them, and it was always fun seeing everybody. I've always showed up to them on accident because I would be downtown doing other things like admiring architecture or doing my little weird thing in my brain where I was just on a side quest for something completely different. And then I showed up at Comic-Con and I was like, what's going on? There's a lot of people dressed up here and it's not just me. Oh, hey, what's going on? And then it would be like Comic-Cons and blah, 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 blah for the day. And I was like, oh, okay. Or we would spend all day at like the Riverwalk in San Antonio at night, and then it came to the point where we needed to like re-up on caffeine, so we would go to like Denny's or IHOP downtown and just consume the coffee. Like you buy a cup, and generally at that time it was like free refills, and so we just keep telling the ladies, keep them coming, like the whole pots of coffee, and just drink tons of coffee, and then go back out into the nightlife and just kind of lose ourselves in the crowd and stuff like that. And it was fun because sometimes you could see like super famous bands playing at the Aztec Theater. And one time my son lost his tooth in front of the Aztec Theater. It was just time, and he was wiggling it, and then he started bleeding everywhere. He was like, Mom, I lost my tooth. And so I was like, isn't that cool? You lost it right here. And all these like beautiful like marquee signs were up and everything, and it was just like this strange thing, like as this like all the spotlight was on him, and he was like, I lost my tooth, and it was right under the Aztec Theater like entrance, and there's all these lights and stuff, and it was just like a really cute moment I remember, and I was like, we're always gonna remember this, at least I will. So sometimes it's fun just wandering around and falling into something. That's what I really enjoy, wandering around and falling into something. But we were at Denny's that one time, and then everybody was like dressed up, like because it was like also after one of a Comic-Con one time, and so I was drinking my coffee and I look up and I start seeing all these characters from movies and shows also at Denny's, and like walking outside, like I had not clicked what was going on, and I had to like make sure I was like still like alive or something. I was like, is that Sora and Kyrie? I was like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, okay. Must be Comic-Con or whatever. You crazy kids and your cons. But I've never officially been to one. I was always working. Or if I wasn't working, I was just trying to feel something. So we were wandering around in the crowd. So anyways, Yeah, Aztec Theater, downtown. I remember. So I love falling into things. I love the intense randomness that for some reason I get with my wheel. Like, you put money in the slot machine and it's like ding, 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 and then you get your fortune. Oh, I'm kidding. You get your your lot, right? And the lot I seem to always be provided with is a very, very the same vein runs through my lot every time I get my lot. It is very strange occurrences. So in San Antonio, there are horses. I think that in most major cities they have like horse carriages that you could get in for $70 a pop, and then they take you on a romantic evening in the Cinderella horse carriage while it's like shitting and you're smelling it. So it's clapping around, around the place. But every time we went downtown, we'd go and pet the horses. Go look at the horses and pet them, and we were like, yeah, and they would paint their hooves with glitter and stuff like that. And I would always look them in the eyes and be like, if you kill somebody, I won't blame you. I will help you get away. We can ride off into the sunset. And then it would be like, no, I'm kidding. I would not whisper ideas to horses. Why would I do that? I'm not some kind of horse whisperer. Anyways, there are horses downtown in San Antonio, okay? And there's been a huge ethical issue with the horses in San Antonio. PETA and like Greenpeace lovers and, like vegans. Then there's nothing wrong with them. I have nothing. A lot of my friends are vegan. I was a vegan at one time. There's nothing wrong with them. But there's like this strange ideology that goes along with like their food consumption that seems to be a similar thread. Anyways, so they would always like pick fights with the horse people, which is so funny because PETA, or like nature lovers or animal empathizers and things like that, which there's nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with. I'm just painting you a picture of what it was as it is. So these animal empathizers I was going to try to fix some of my makeup while saying this, but I don't think I can. I have to give it my full attention. My husband's truck has a sunroof, okay? And so sometimes we just go downtown and I'd stick my head out the sunroof and look at the stars and watch the people like kissing outside of the Hard Rock Cafe and like all of the ambiance of like the taco truck people and the graffiti taggers and the drunks and alcoholics and the people stumbling around just mindlessly wandering the streets. And so there'd be that like beautiful ecstasy of humans and then also fantastic architecture. So it was nice to just stick my head out of the sunroof, or the moonroof, sunroof, I guess it was a moonroof because it was nighttime, and just look at like how tall the buildings were. And sometimes the moon would be right between the buildings and it would be so like glorious and beautiful and just captivating. But one time I was doing this and it was hilarious. Speaking back to my lot, correct? There was these animal empathizers who were wearing like tactical masks and screaming in protest against the horses. They do not like the horses, but they love the horses. Horses have rights. Horses have rights. They have rights. Okay. And we were going really slow because there was people crossing downtown. And I was like, honey, go extra slow because I think I would like to start some shit. And this is one of those times when my impulses were like, I could feel it creeping up within my heart, and I was just like, I could feel that mischievous creature crawling out of my psyche and like grabbing the reins from my hands and like taking control. And so I told my husband, slow down. And so he did. And so I was like observing them. And I was like, So I was listening to them. And the horses, so they're on the opposite side of the road of the horses. So there's the line of horses. Here's the activists. Here's the horses. The activists have a gigantic bed sheet with very shitty dollar store black spray paint. And it was like, horse lives matter or something like that. Something of that nature. Like their stance, their mission, what they were going to be protesting. Like, free the horses, horse lives matter, something like that, right? But there was just like 2 or 3 of them. It wasn't a very big operation. So, and they were like in tactical masks with backpacks, and they were just really fucking mad. You shouldn't be having horses! Like screaming, like very loud, but it was muffled because it was through the masks. So, I was looking at their bed sheet trying to identify what they were screaming about. And then the thing inside me was just like, took the reins out of my hand and was like, so what I ended up doing was I was outside of the sunroof and they had caught my attention. And I was reading and I was like, okay, I understand. I quickly understood and figured out the situation. And so I was like screaming at them, yeah, woo, like out the sunroof like a complete psychopath. I was like, yeah, fuck those horses. I fucking hate horses too. I wish the horses didn't exist. Like I was just screaming and I was like, I support you. Fuck those horses. And they looked at me and they were like, hey, come down. Get out of the car. Yeah, come join our cause. Because they didn't hear what I was saying because everything was so loud. They was just like, I was like, hey, yo, fuck those horses. Yeah, man, fuck them, right? Fuck those horses. And I was like, in fact, I don't want to ever see another horse again. Like, just screaming, like, insanity at these people. And they're like, yeah. We love your energy. Come down and join us. Grab a sign. They were like, grab a sign. Because they didn't hear what I was saying. And then I asked my husband, I was like, yeah, and when we passed them up, and we kept going, and the line was going, I was like, whoa, yeah, I was like, fuck those horses, and then, because he's my partner in crime, and we were not doing crime, we were just shouting, everyone was shouting, why can't I shout too? And they were shouting crazy things, so why is it not okay that I could shout crazy things too? So I was still feeling pretty mischievous, and I was like, let's start some shit. And so, and so I was like, honey, okay. I went back in the car and I was like, at this stoplight, can you please bust a U-turn and go back the other way? And so we go back down the road. Except now I am for the other side of the road. And so I was like, we got to that part where they were screaming at each other, right? Like pro-horse, anti-horse. Or whatever, but truthfully I understand what it was for. It was just so, I found it ironic and funny and strange that these people had, like, I was like, your mom's gonna get mad at you whenever she finds out you ruined her good sheets for your horse empathizing, which I do empathize with the horses, I do, but like I said, I had let my impulses take control and I was just like feeling extremely mischievous and I was so bored. And so what I did was we went down the road and then instead I was pro the other side. And so I was just like, whoa, I love horses. Whoa, horses. Look at all the horses. And I was like, hey, those guys don't understand you. Those guys fucking suck. They have bed sheets. Wow, what a bunch of losers. Horses are amazing. Horses are the best. And like, I started screaming and the horse trainers were like, I mean, you can support both sides. Right? And then whenever we just finally left that area because they had run its course. And then I was able to get the reins back in my life and I sat back down and I was like, I need to stop before I get too out of control. Speaking of out of control, I was in San Antonio whenever the Spurs won the world championship back in like 2014, something like that. Very long time ago. 10 years ago. I can't believe it was 10 years ago. But it was. And our town can get down, okay? So it was the championship and they had won the world championship, right? They were the champs, right? And so what happens with a bunch of Hispanics and Spurs fan when they start drinking and then they get like in the complete ecstasy of actual fucking shared delusion and madness is they all start losing their shit and rioting, but in like a positive way. Nobody was smashing windows or anything. It was just like the exhilaration of like winning the world championship. And San Antonio, people who love Spurs, the Rockets people in Houston, like they're okay. Like they have like camaraderie or whatever, and it is it's admirable. But unfortunately people go fucking psychotic over the Spurs. Like the people in San Antonio who love the Spurs or Spurs fans, dude, they are a whole nother category of fucking insane. So when they won the championship, they were flipping cop cars. The cops weren't in it. And honestly, the cops were letting it happen. Nobody was getting arrested. The cops would sit on their horses, because we had horse cops too. They were sitting on their horses just like watching it, making sure that like no fires started and nobody got shot. But it was absolute madness downtown. Cars were getting, people even in the cars were like shaking, and they were just like, yeah, like it was a ride. Like they weren't like feeling like they were threatened, because the people in the cars were Spurs fans too, and the people shaking the cars were Spurs fans. So it was just like fun, like trying to release all of this absolute insane I don't know how, like, all the energy that was raised from watching them over all of these weeks, and finally it came to like the explosion of like they won. So people just had to get it out, and it was like Kubrick's 2001 Space Odyssey, right, where the monkeys are like just psychotic. It was like monkeys, like just crazy, like it was insane. Like I said, cars were getting flipped over and stuff like that. Nobody was in the cars that got flipped over that I know of. And it was just like this huge, dangerous, like to me that's dangerous, right? Whenever, it's like a massive crowd of people feeling the same way, gassing each other on, also drinking and things like that, just complete riot madness, but in a sweet way. I can't explain it. It didn't have the flavor of destruction, but it had the flavor of like, happiness. It was a happy riot. And the cops were kind of like, let these motherfuckers do it. There's a lot of them. No, they weren't from whatever. Speaking of that, I saw this. Speaking of horses and cops. Okay, I was watching this because before I go somewhere, I like watching like 4K walkthrough videos on YouTube without commentary, and so I can understand. I have OCD, so I like feeling safe before I go to a place. Now, I just have a lot of issues. Anyways, so I like watching these like 4K walkthrough things, right? And there was one where they were in Salem, because eventually I would like to go to Salem. I like to go to New England and experience everything. My kids want to go to Niagara Falls to experience like that Frankenstein Castle Burger King or something. And my husband's Italian, and he comes from a very old Italian family, and they mostly are located out of California and New York. So it's kind of scary because I didn't have a very close family, and they are all like very close or something. And so I don't understand it, but they want us to go and see them and stuff like that in California and New York. And they also were like, we'll give you the money, and I don't feel comfortable with that. So come on, buddy. I don't feel comfortable with that. Like the whole like, oh, we'll give you the money, we'll take care of you, we'll house you, things like I am fearful because of my like issues around narcissistic people. So when someone offers too much to me, and I know I can't, like, there's no way I could pay back a plane ticket for 4 individuals, and then also housing and all this just to meet his family members from Italy and things like that, it kind of, I don't know, it's just my own trauma. Scares me. So anyways, but we eventually need to go to New England, right? Back this up. I was watching a 4K walkthrough. I could go on for hours of Salem. I was watching like a 4K walkthrough of Salem on one of these nights, like perhaps in October, which I hear is like the worst time to go. So I'd probably go in like the summer or something. Whenever it's too hot in Texas, it'd be nice to go to New England, because 70 degrees is way better than 150. So, but I can't get over their accents. Here's the thing. I love accents. I love listening to foreign people. I love listening to Hispanic people, and I just love picking up accents and hearing them. It's something that is super pleasurable to me to hear somebody with an accent talking, because it's very interesting, and it's like, to me, it's like a siren song, hearing people with very strange accents. But there was a cop on a horse. They have like horse cops there too. Okay, which I was like, oh, that's weird, because we have it in Texas. I thought it was a Texas thing, right? That the horse thing was a Texas. So there was a girl trying to touch the horse, and the horse was like stamping on the ground. Obviously, body language was showing that it was in distress and it was angry. Like, I do love horses. One day I would like to go give a shot at barrel racing. I really want to get into barrel racing. I love barrel racing. And that's something like, if I had $1 million, it would be like, be a mortician, barrel racing, raise farm animals on a ranch somewhere. That's kind of like what I would like to do. But I love barrel racing. I love the rodeo. I love all things Texan, because I am one. But I also really, really enjoy that. So the body language of the horse was getting dangerous. Like, the bitch is gonna get kicked. Have you ever seen somebody get kicked by a horse? You could die, or worse, you could survive with like massive brain injury and just be completely not real, like glitching all the time, basically, from like your brain not being able to function correctly. So horses are dangerous, and you need to have a ton of respect for such an animal. And not scream at them when somebody's protesting. Don't do what I do. I was just sharing a story, so don't go and do what I do. Thank you so much. I would really appreciate it if you didn't do what I did. That would be fantastic. Thank you so much. So, this girl's like trying to touch the horse, and the horse is always freaking out because it's a fucking parade. And this other cop from Boston, like, or with a Boston accent, it's just like, he was like, "Hey, get off the horse! Don't touch the horses!" For me, it's a no. For me, it's a no. He was like, "Hey, don't touch the horse!" I don't think I can go to Salem now, because are you telling me people talk like that all over Massachusetts? I don't. Massachusetts? Massachusetts? It's not massive two shits. That's not what it's called, and it's not massive two tits. Massachusetts? Massive. We're not going to talk about that word. M.A. Salem. I'm just going to say Salem. Anyways, you're telling me that if I go to Salem, people have that accent there? And that was one accent I was just like, I'm going. Like, that accent, and then there's like an English accent that, like, I can understand accents very well, because like I said, they're like a siren song to me. I like get locked in and I listen to them, and I love hearing the different things with people's accents. It's so pretty. But people from like Boston, I don't think I could do it, guys, and it's nothing against you, but I'm gonna get into a fight, because I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind laughing hysterically and piss myself, and then have to come up swinging, because people are gonna be like, "Are you making fun of me? Don't talk to me," because then I'm gonna laugh hard. He's gonna be like, "You making fun of me?" And I'm gonna be like, I would have to, maybe I could bring like some like of those like noise canceling headphones, because I think that if I hear too many Boston accents, I'm going to lose my mind. That's also, I don't want to visit England. Like, me and my friends have this whole thing about hating the redcoats, because, you know, whatever, but they're also English. Like, I'm white as well, but mostly Scottish. My mother was a Stuart. Forehead, come on, forehead check. Scottish, all right, forehead check, Scottish. My mom is Scottish and Scandinavian, and like, you know, but she was also English. She's white. So very white. But I don't think I want to go because I want to experience it, right? Like, in my fantasies, I want to go look at like all the things, and I really want to go to Germany. I want to go see all of the architecture, and just like, that's something I love doing. I'm a looky-loo. I like looking and observing, and just, I don't think I could go to certain parts of England, because I'm going to hear them say a word, and I'm going to lose my goddamn mind, and like I said, piss myself laughing. And I'm not making fun of anybody. It's just, there's certain accents that to me are so strange and silly. And there's like a certain, all accents are funny to me and pretty and amazing, but there's like the Boston one freaked me out a little. I'm not gonna lie, I'm just being honest. It freaked me out when that guy drove by and was like, "Hey, don't touch the horse!" Like, how did that happen? How did that happen? Because we know that the Scottish people came over and settled in West Virginia and stuff like that. And so now you really got some of those voices like this over there. And like, but it came from over there. So what happened in Boston? When did it go from talking like this and having like a southern drawl to like, don't touch that horse? Like, what happened? What is it? What happened? What happened? What was the moment? I need to know. Somebody explain it to me if you know, because I need to know. It's on a need to know basis, but I need to know, okay? Oh my god, it's so amazing seeing that too. Also, with music, side note, I like watching how we have like like the bagpipes and like certain like Scottish and Irish and English folk music traveled to the Americas, and then we have like country western because of that, because of the hillbillies, you know, like so I think that's funny, you know, like the people who were more loyal to the other king, even though they were in America, then they called them the hillbillies. So I find it extremely fascinating watching the movement of humans migrating, and then the development of certain things such as like area accents and music that radiates out from that culture, which is a very intimate thing. Culture is very, very intimate, you know. It is super cool, like the melting pots of Appalachia, I mean, created such a really interesting, beautiful thing that is very can be stamped to that, you know what I mean, to that area. Anyway, sorry, long story short, I don't know if I can go to Boston unless I have like this noise canceling headphones and then have my husband as a guide. I don't know if we could. I want to go to New York as well. I'd like to go visit my husband's relatives and learn about his family, and for him to reconnect with his relatives that are from Italy and stuff like that. They're very interesting to me because I don't understand them. So I find it to be weird because I did not have all of these familial connections as a child. I missed out on that. So seeing it in close, up close and personally happen within this Italian family that is now my family was a very triggering and alarming because whoa, whoa, what the fuck? Number one, he has a nanny from like Italy. She's like 96 years old, very old woman, still very young in her heart and everything. And when she found out that we existed, whenever she found out that, you know, he had children and he was married, she found us and sent us like money and which was bizarre to me because nobody ever helped me out as a child, so I was confused. It was like, what does she want? You know what I mean? I always thought that there was like a backhand waiting with favors. What is it? You have given me a present, now I must repay you. What do you need from me? Like, I don't ever just feel safe with accepting things because I know that there's like a subtext, below. There is something there, like, I wash your back, you wash mine whenever I call you. And so it just freaked me out. That's what I grew up learning. So seeing whatever the fuck this is with my husband's family dynamic, like she was like, she sent money. She was like, I pray for you every night. Once I learned your names, I say the Lord's Prayer. She like compulsively says certain prayers over everybody in her entire family. I think they're Catholic, which also like I was feeling strange because I'm not religious, and yet I can get down. I understand, so I can like masquerade and blend in, so that way I don't alarm anyone. But that also is like masking, and that's not good, but I could still do it. I can do it. It's just, God, do I really want to punch my psyche that hard? to shut up. It's difficult. I don't like wearing that mask around people because it's difficult. So anyways, she was like, send me a picture so I could set it on her like family altar, and then she prays over everybody. Very, very like full of faith, religious woman, which is, I think, is beautiful to observe somebody like that. Another thing is it's scary to me. Hyper religious people freak me the fuck out. The fuck out. And it's cool, but there's like a certain amount of like untreated mental illness that goes into hyper religiousness, right? So I don't like sharing around them, so I'm quiet, which is not my thing. I don't like being quiet. I don't like being quiet. But it was just so amazing to see that, like, his family and that they were helping each other out, and also they all had like multiple resources for income, and they were healthy, and they were doctors and nurses and this and that and la 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 la. Like, they were a really fantastical family, and even though they were states away, they call each other every night, and there's so much communication that happens in this Italian family that I missed out on. So I feel almost wounded witnessing how the family ties, how tight they really are. Even if somebody could have killed someone, I'm not saying they have, but I'm saying somebody could have killed someone, and the family ties would still be there. They could like forgive anything, look past anything, all of these things. And here I am, hyper aware that I will cut anybody out of my life, as fucking like a finishing blow, cut somebody out of my life and never talk to them again. I do not understand forgiveness on such a level. I do not understand tolerance on such a level. I am a very, no, we're not doing that, and it will never happen again kind of a person, instead of like a, oh, we're family, I guess I suppose I'll let that slide, or covering for people. I don't understand that. It's accountability for me, and like very there. So all of these things go into play. I don't understand covering for people. I don't understand having someone's back even though they're a complete piece of shit. I don't understand staying connected to somebody even though they've done such insidious acts and refuse to be accountable because they feel like they got away with it, but in truth, they did not. So I don't understand the continually keeping up with people who are complete sociopathic, narcissistic, psychotic people, and then 4, like 5, like continually enabling certain actions. I just don't, I didn't understand that family dynamic, and I'm not saying that they all do this or whatever, but there was one person who I was close to that was a complete sociopath, and they had, invoked destruction in my life, and like, it was just very, very difficult. So it was so strange seeing them play everybody else in the family as a fool, and then like get money from them and stuff like that, and then they were continually acting like a fucking sociopath. And it made me very sad to see that, because I really wish I could have had such a fantastical family growing up, but unfortunately I didn't. But I feel like had I had 2 parents that loved me and a family that was supportive and rich, like, I think that perhaps I would have more courage, or like within myself, to actually do the things that I desire, instead of consciously and constantly fight with them in my head, fight with that creative process of like, I see it, I want it, I want to do that, and it says like, I see it, I want it. Why do you want it? Do you think you're really worthy of having a thing? Do you really think you exist? That's cute. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, something like that. So yeah, anyways, all of this being said, I'd like to go actually in person meet them. We've had like Zoom calls and things of that nature, and over the phone calls and stuff like that. But here I am. This is me. Am I Catholic? No. Am I hyper-religious? No. Am I the perfect Italian housewife? Absolutely not. And so I feel personally inside of my hardest of heart, that it would just be a mega disappointment, and it would actually be an interaction that I I don't know, maybe it would propel me into being a villain and I'd like destroy the whole planet or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it would be like the last straw that broke the camel's back. I'm disappointing my husband's like ancient Italian family. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. Super duper sorry that these are getting longer and longer. I just feel like as the days grow shorter, my voice yearns to scream louder and longer. So yeah, and also, you know what's kind of funny is that I feel like by dumping all of these videos into this channel in and of myself that I am sharing my experiences. So let's say something does happen to me, I feel like these experiences my children can go back and look at. And they're just things that I want to share and I want to open up. And I guess I could write a book, and one day I will write a book. But for me personally, I feel like just sitting here and allowing it to flow is better than trying to lock it up. So, sorry for oversharing. Also, no, did I hurt those horses in San Antonio? No. Did I think it was absolutely hilarious that I went through and I sided with the protesters and then I sided with the horses? Yes, because sometimes I just like starting shit. Why? I don't know. There's a story about the coyote, the trickster. And what happens is whenever the trickster gets bored, he roams the earth. The coyote roams the earth. And he roams and he walks. And when he gets too bored, he starts war. And sometimes it bites him in the ass. And I feel much like a coyote sometimes. I feel much like an outcast, something that should and should not exist. And yet, like the divine jester sometimes within myself, there is like this holy child that I try to keep safe and I try to nurture. And like I said, I have a very niche humor because of trauma, things of that nature that have made it develop the way it is, experience trauma, stuff like that. Basically, human experience. My human experience has created a very niche type of pathology within my brain. So, all of these things being said, I'm not for everybody, and that's okay. I shift and move and change with the seasons, with my hormonal cycles, with how I feel and more experiences and things like that. But I've always felt so close to coyotes. And in fact, I keep like a lot of coyote body parts around my house. I have like a jaw that is, it's a jawbone and it's a necklace. And on it, it has the runic name for Freya. She's like a Venus figure in Nordic and Norse and Germanic mythology, but I love Freya. And to me, she's just like this. It's to me, the jawbone is like the coyote and Freya. It's like Venus and Mercury. It's a very, that's how I feel personally. I feel like a child of Venus and Mercury, even though there are these other elements. Like I'm very Uranian. I'm very eccentric and how do you say random random number generator. No, it's my brain. So but all of these things, like at a core, I understand that I am mercurial and I also present very feminine. So I find a lot of, I don't know, comfort in stories of the trickster and mythology of the trickster. And I collect a lot of coyote parts because the coyote has always been sacred to me. It is me. I am the coyote sometimes. And I love that aspect of myself because it's fun. And it's fun to have fun. But sometimes I definitely can accidentally start war within myself, not outside. But sometimes I like that. Sometimes I like standing on the fence and screaming at both sides instead of just constantly listening to everybody all the time and like hearing all of the commotion from heaven to hell, right? From heaven to hell. Just hearing the commotion on the Osiris backbone, just up and down and up and down, and constantly having to navigate that ladder of human existence from both realms and into this earthly plane, right? So all of these things being said, sometimes it's nice to let loose. Sometimes it's nice to let loose and shake a cop car with fun. You know, whenever the Spurs win the World Series or whatever, they become a champion, and you're very dedicated to that such thing. Sometimes it's good. sometimes it's good to channel and express that into this world, correct? But other times it is extremely important to take the reins back from the coyote, to tell the coyote to stop, because too much is too much, and too less is stagnant. So there is a beautiful balance that can happen between being a complete idiot for fun, for funsies, and allowing yourself to express this deep need to laugh and connect, and then also like starting shit between the protesters and the horses. But then also the guys in Boston. The boys in Boston with an accent like that. Wow. Really, really amazing. No, I'm kidding. I'm not making it look. If you're from Boston and you're a guy and you sound like that, that's fine. I'm not really making fun of you. I just personally found it to be not sweet on the ears, as sweet as like other accents were. So, okay, I will see you later. I will see you guys later. I have to go edit those. Okay, bye.